The need for connection right now is so vital and yet so hard to come by. In just a short amount of time, some of the basic structures of our society have been completely changed, altering the way we interact in the workplace, marketplace, amongst our family and friends, and even at church. And frankly, it's been a time of ongoing uncertainty. As I watch how so much of what I've considered foundational to my life being stripped away, I realize just how different God is. Where I don't know what each new day will hold, God holds the whole world, even as it's changing, and knows every detail of it, even down to the number of hairs on my head. Where I have to keep my distance from people for safety reasons, God is close and personal. He doesn't keep me 6 feet away or cover his mouth when I come near. Where I am anxious, God is peace. Where I am immobilized by fear, God continues to steadily move and act. Where I feel apathetic and just numb to it all, God reminds me to remain vigilant in the call to love my neighbor and consider others more significant than myself. Yes, God is not like the chaos around me and the world and our community. Even in the midst of this global pandemic and time of ongoing uncertainty, I can learn more about who God is and what that means for my life, here and now. And that's the whole idea behind Lutheran Life, Concordia Publishing House's free digital magazine. It's written for everyday Christians navigating everyday life. In it, we get to intentionally consider what it means to be loved by God and how that influences how we live in the world. I most certainly don't have this whole what it means to live life as a Christian thing down, but I hope that this can be a shared journey together as we consider what it means to be redeemed children of God and how that does impact the way that we interact with other people. One of the most heartbreaking things for me during all of this has been hearing stories about people who are in such bleak depression and utter despair, people who have no hope. And when the core of what we've known to be so foundational to life, our jobs, economy, interactions with other people, our personal health, when all of that are just big question marks, I realize how I too have misplaced my hope. I've looked to my health for sustenance instead of the giver of life. I've looked to my job for personal fulfillment instead of rooting my identity as a loved child of God. I've looked to my family for comfort instead of the Prince of Peace. And I've looked to interactions with others for happiness instead of finding my joy in the Lord. Now, health, employment, our loved ones, these are not bad things. These are some of the sweetest gifts that God gives us. But they, in and of themselves, are not my source for hope. God is. In the last issue of Lutheran Life, we talk a lot about hope. It's crucial to our witness to others. The Apostle Peter writes in his first letter that we should always be prepared to make a defense to anyone who asks for the reason for our hope, and to do so with gentleness and respect. So, what's the reason for your hope in Jesus? Do you have hope, even in a time when hope seems hard to find? Have you misplaced your hope, like I have? In the magazine, we provide you some space to pause, consider, and even write out the reasons for your hope in Jesus. Being able to articulate these reasons not only helps bolster your faith during difficult times, but also equips you to be ready to share it with someone else, someone who desperately needs to hear during a time like this. So why not go ahead and consider the same question? In the midst of this global pandemic and ongoing uncertainty, what's the reason for your hope? Pause the video and write it down. Share with a family member or text a friend. Even ask them to share the reason for their hope. I got to interview the Reverend Dr. Adam Francisco for this last issue of Lutheran Life. And I asked him the same question. What's the reason for your hope in Jesus? Do you know what he said? He said, quite simply, that Jesus rose from the dead. He said that is the rock bottom foundational fact verifying Jesus' claim to divinity. Christ's resurrection proves that Jesus is who he says he is. For if Christ had not been raised, our faith would be in vain, and the Apostle Paul says that we would be pitied among men. But Christ, in fact, has been raised, which gives us unwavering hope in this life and in the life to come. We cling to the hope that the best is yet to come because of Jesus. So how about you? What's the reason for your hope in Jesus? Now, more than ever, is a time to consider these reasons and to share them with confidence. Our world is hungry for the real hope that we have in Jesus. And so I pray you might be encouraged as you consider the reason for your hope and recognize the truths of God's promises, that because of Jesus' victory over death, the best is still ahead. So go ahead, you can grab your own digital version of Lutheran Life by going to cph.org/Lutheran Life, and you can check out the magazine for yourself. Oh, and if you do know the hope that you have in Jesus, let's not hoard hope like people are hoarding toilet paper right now. There's enough hope in Jesus to go around, so share it. There's someone who needs to have it.